That there'd been a huge development out of Texas where law enforcement arrested two of the escaped inmates, Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald, after a police chase.
Andres Fuentes joins us with how they will eventually be brought back to Louisiana.
John Lauren, both Tate and Donald were found in Huntsville, Texas, and the Huntsville Police Department said that the duo led their officers and other Texas law enforcement on a massive police chase in that area just north of Houston this afternoon. They were eventually stopped by police and are now facing charges tied to that chase. We spoke with Fox 8 legal analyst Joe Responti, who says that the duo will eventually be brought back to Louisiana to face charges tied to the jail escape and the charges that they were originally locked up for.
Hey, yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. 1751. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, man. For those of you who haven't already smashed that subscribe, take a minute, man, and go smash and subscribe and hit the bell notification, man. You know, do yourself a favor, man, so that you'll be the first, you know, to get these uploads as I upload updates on this situation, man. Now, here today, you know, there's a lot unfolding, man. You know, just within the last, you know, few hours. Now, a lot of you who have been following this case, you know, about this New Orleans jail escape situation, where you have 10 inmates who, you know, somehow manipulated the guards and was able to pull off an elaborate escape, man. That was just, you know, it was beyond crazy, man. You know what I mean? But they've been on the run for about, you know, a week now. They already captured 5 of these guys, right? As of, you know, yesterday, they have 5 of these guys, right? Now, if a lot of you probably remember, I just did a video on this situation where I said, you know, damn, it's crazy because they have 10 escapees, they have 5 captured, but they have 9 accomplices. You know, people who aid and abetted these guys, you know, before and after their escape. You know, all of these people were suspected to have helped these guys in one way or another. You know, but you know, like I said in my last video, man, there were 9 in total. You know, jailhouse staff, the maintenance man from the jailhouse, from the facility where they escaped, you know, another inmate who helped another inmate escape just, you know, a few short days after the first escape, you know, where a single guy was able to somehow find his way on the outside of that wall, you know. But as the days go on, man, like I said, man, there's more and more arrests. You know, it is getting more interesting, to say the least. You know, it's just, you know, it's an ongoing, you know, it's an ongoing shit show. You know, now today, you know, within the past few hours, man, you have Linton Van Buren Jr., right? This guy somehow made his way to Baton Rouge. You know, of course, with the help of others. You know, he may have had family or loved ones, you know, out that way. And he was able to go out there and get fresh. As you see, he had Gucci flip-flops on and got his hair all plaited up all nice. You know, he done went by to see Big Booty Bonquisha, you know, to get himself, you know, everybody sit between her legs, man, get you know, get their head twisted up, man. The whole neighborhood done been between her legs, man, you know, we got them in every hood, man. So what this guy, man, he obviously has some help. And it's all coming together, man. You know, they found this guy, man. outside of a Snipes sneaker store, laying on a bench. Now, I'm not sure if this guy was trying to appear to be a homeless person, to try to throw off the authorities and throw off the public, because that's possible, but this is just getting more interesting, man. Now, he wasn't the only one. If y'all remember, just a few short days ago, man, I was saying that, they have 5 inmates captured, and they have 5 more to go. Now just today, as of a few short hours ago, you now have 8. You now have 8 recaptured escapees.
Have now found 8 of the 10 inmates who escaped from Orleans Justice Center nearly 2 weeks ago.
Now you have the guy Leo Tate. We all know this guy from nailing down Courtney. I forget her last name. The girl Courtney. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The jailhouse CO, the young girl that he was nailing, and manipulating, obviously. And you have another guy, Jermaine Donald. Now, you have these 2 guys. They were in court with the guy Linton Van Buren Jr. In Baton Rouge. These guys, they were captured in Texas.
John Lauren, both Tate and Donald were found in Huntsville, Texas, and the Huntsville Police Department said that the duo led their officers and other Texas law enforcement on a massive police chase in that area just north of Houston this afternoon.
Huntsville police released body camera or dash cam video of the chase that led to the arrest of 2 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail 2 weeks ago. Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald were taken into custody just yesterday. You can see there one of the men being pulled through a back passenger window.
So they also likely had, help to kind of keep them undercover, to kind of keep them out of the way so that they could kind of survive out here, just another day. Today wasn't one of those days, man. Today is where it all ended for these guys. Now, these guys were alleged to have took the authorities on a high-speed chase. They took the authorities on a high-speed chase, and they got caught and brought into custody, in Texas. Now, these guys they will all be taken back to the county, but I'm quite sure they will not drag their feet in getting these guys to whatever state prison that these guys are going to be going to be housed at for the term of that sentence, whatever that may be. But a lot of these guys, man, like they said, man, these guys are not going to get any extra charges. They're just going to be charged with escape. As long as they didn't hurt anybody on the outside or commit any new crimes that authorities are aware of, these guys are just going to get charged with escape. And for guys like these, man, who are already in a world of trouble, it was worth it for them. It was worth it for them to get a week out, on the outside of that wall, man. Although they was on a run, they wasn't comfortable like you and I, but they were, they got to spend a few days on the outside of that wall, about a week or so, in the nice weather. Now, like I said, man, you got 2 more to go. I'm quite sure these guys, they're somewhere nearby, because a lot of times, man, these guys, they don't go far, man. They're able to manipulate the guards inside these jails, man. A lot of these guards be green. They don't know how to deal with certain people, man. They don't know how to see it coming when somebody's trying to manipulate them. So these guys, a lot of times, they're able to get these type of, they're able to manipulate these type of people because this is what these guys do, man. It's how they live their life. They're not honest people. A lot of them, they're not honest people. They live a street life where everything is about manipulation. you know, and having your way, you know. But a lot of times these guys, they manipulate these guards and they're able to be successful, you know, in escaping. But then, you know, it turns out that these guys, you know, are not as smart as a lot of us may have thought they were, man, you know, for pulling off this escape. Because if you can see, there are a lot of, they got different videos of these guys, man, you know, on the outside after the escape, where these guys wasn't even smart enough, they wasn't confident enough to split up. You know, these guys are chasing their tails, man. You know, they're walking up and down random blocks, you know, following each other, you know, just being captured by all kind of doorbell cameras and street cameras, and you know, these guys, you know, a lot of times, man, these guys they go back to what they're familiar with. You know, they go back to where people are familiar with them. You know, who are likely to help these guys to stay low, man, and assist them in some way, shape, or form, man, so that they can kind of survive another day on the run. But the downside of all that, man, is every one of these inmates that are being captured, there are a shitload of people that are going to, that, you know, who are free, you know, who are going to be now charged with aiding and abetting and escaping. You know, now this guy, Linton Van Buren Jr., he's got quite a few people in trouble, including his own sister. You know, you have three women who are also tied up in this mess, you know, for helping this guy. And you got I believe they said about five other people, you know, who are going to be facing charges for assisting this guy, man, you know, in some way, shape, or form, man, you know, whether it's letting this guy use a phone, you know, just lending them money, lending them anything, man, you know. And this guy's sister was alleged to have been in contact with this guy before his escape. You know, he contacted his sister via cell phone, you know, of course from the prison phone to cell phone contact.
State police investigators began to track the alleged accomplices from phone calls that Van Buren made to one of his sisters from a jailhouse phone. He told her to be outside of the facility by 11:30 p.m. the night before the escape. And
him and his sister was in agreement that she was going to be waiting for this guy you know, on the other side of the fence once he escaped. And his sister was able to get this guy away from the jail. So all this is coming together, man. You know, as the authorities, you know, review the information or the evidence or whatever they have in these guys, man, they're giving it to the public, man. You know, and it's just getting more interesting by the day, man. Now, you now have 8 arrested and 2 to go. Now, but you also have 9, you know, accomplices, and that's not including the people who are on the outside that were attached to each one of these individuals, each one of these escapees. There are going to be so many charges brung forth, man, on so many different people, man. You know, because trust and believe me, the authorities, they are working day and night, man, tirelessly. You know, and they're covering cell phone records to loved ones, anybody who could be, you know, in contact with any of these guys, man. And they're going to be combing through that, and they will be bringing charges, man. They mean what they say. So if anybody out there that's acting like they don't adhere to what these people are saying and the warnings that these authorities are giving, then you know, if you choose to still help these guys, man, you know, once you get caught up in this mess, you can't blame nobody but yourself. You know, I know a lot of us, you know, we have loved ones that we want to help. You know, we don't believe they belong in there, you know, or whatever. You know, just like the young guy, Derrick. Now, he has a situation where his grandmother was set up, and she was murdered by a guy on a half of the police.
Former police officer Lynn Davis ordered a hitman to kill a New Orleans mother.
He said Derrick came across to her as a normal kid, despite his grandmother being killed by a hitman on the orders of New Orleans police officer Len Davis.
27-year-old Derrick Groves is one of the 5 escaped inmates, and he's still at large tonight. It is forcing witnesses into hiding. Ironically, he has a deep connection to one of the most notorious killings in New Orleans history. His grandmother was executed on order of corrupt cop Len Davis.
All of this happened. His grandmother was murdered before he was born, and there was an ongoing case. And they're saying that case was just settled. And this young guy, a lot of people in the community are saying that he was a good guy, man. You know, they don't know where he went left, and a lot of people still don't believe that he's guilty of the murders, the crime that he was convicted for. You know, the Mardi Gras shooting, the massacre. A lot of people in the community, they're still in disbelief. And a lot of them, you know, they just don't believe that this guy belonged behind a wall in the first place. You know, just for the fact that his grandmother was murdered, wrongfully murdered, you know, and that was, you know, revealed that was a dirty job, you know. So a lot of people believe that this young guy has been was a target. You know, he was a target because of his family. You know, the tension between his family and law enforcement.
Oh, I remember him from a baby.
Like any other child, Derrick Groves was an innocent, wide-eyed kid with the world ahead of him.
He was friends with my son. He taught my son how to ride a bike.
But somewhere along the way, that innocence turned to blood. He's accused in 4 killings and convicted on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of manslaughter. Gail Slack says she helped raise the 27-year-old on Alabo Street in the lower 9th Ward.
I just hope that if they catch him, they don't hurt him.
Now, I'm not sure, but that's what a lot of people, a lot of interviews that people are giving, well, news, short news interviews that people are giving. They're saying that this guy, is not who the authorities are painting him to be. They tried this guy 3 times for these murders. They wanted to get this guy bad, man. And a lot of people believe that it's because of history, with his family, between his family and law enforcement. And they tried him 3 times, and they finally convicted him. And a lot of people in the community just feel like, he was wrongly convicted. So of course, this guy is going to probably be more likely to receive help from the people within the community, because they already believe that this guy didn't belong behind a wall in the first place. So and y'all know how the black community is, man. We're passionate, about our loved ones, man. We really, we sometimes we will go overboard, man, when we believe that somebody has been done wrong, man, by law enforcement, because we're so used to being done wrong by law enforcement, man. So when a guy like this escapes and people believe that he's not, he didn't belong behind those walls in the first place, and he was wrongfully convicted, of course, there are going to be people who are going to assist this guy. But at the end of the day, man, whether he was wrongfully convicted or not, anyone who helped this guy, man, on the fact that he was already convicted in the court of law, anybody who helped this guy as an escapee, they're still going to face the same consequences as anybody else, man. They're not going to be easy on you. As you can see, these people are getting $1 million bails, man. You don't get $1 million bails, man, for minor criminal offenses. They set these type of bails because they know a lot of times people can't pay these bails. You won't be able to fight them from the outside, unless you got people to put houses up and, just things like that, man. But most people, a lot of people don't have somebody to put a property up, or a person with, just sitting on $100,000, or but I'm not sure if it's 10%, if they're gonna have the 10% in that state. But here in Pennsylvania, we have the 10%, so $1 million would be 100,000, but yeah, man, they're not playing. They're not playing, man. So anybody, man, who failed to obey, or to adhere to what these authorities or these warnings that they're giving to the public, man, you got to blame yourself, man, if you get caught up in this mess. But anyway, man, this is a rather longer video, man, than usual. But it's a lot of interesting things unfolding, man, in this situation, man. I just want to try to keep y'all updated the best I can, man, with this story. Anyway, until next time, it's your boy, Mr. 1751, bringing you another 1751 review. And until next video, y'all stay up.
Now, both men are facing charges of aggravated escape out of Louisiana, while Jermaine Donald has been charged with evading arrest here in Walker County. According to Huntsville police, both escaped inmates were spotted yesterday in an SUV and were pulled over moments before the chase began and ended in a crash near 190.
The arrest of 2 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail 2 weeks ago. Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald were taken into custody just yesterday. You can see there one of the men being pulled through a back passenger window.